Say what you will about Suicide Squad, whether it be, I thought it was good, not a masterpiece, not a bomb either, a sick-ass movie that was badass, or movie was lame, it can't be denied that it was packed with Easter eggs and references relating to the introduction of the Justice League, Batman's history in the universe, the Joker's backstory, secret character cameos, the origins of Harley Quinn, and much more. And that's what this video is all about, going through all of that, plus a bunch of other stuff. Beware of spoilers from the film, and hang around until the end for your chance to win a loot crate, and also find out who won the one from last week. Okay, let's get into it. We got some comic book locations that we haven't seen before in this live action version of the DC universe, including Belle Reve Prison, which is located in Louisiana, as it always is. We also get our first look at Arkham Asylum, home of some very mentally ill patients, including man who licks glass all day, and the Joker, on and off, you know, when he's there. And that's also rumored to be the location of the Ben Affleck solo Batman movie. Plus we get Midway City, a place that's not as popular or well known as Metropolis or Gotham, but is sometimes the home of Hawkgirl and Hawkman, and one incarnation of the Doom Patrol. Also in Midway City, we see the Latin words Si Vis Pac. I don't know what that is. I don't speak or read Latin, but I know that that roughly translates to, if you want peace, prepare for war, which seems to be Amanda Waller's motif. Let's get into Harley Quinn though. We see her traditional outfit a few times, once when she pulls it out of her box of possessions, on a mannequin in the Joker's lair, and her wearing it in a very brief clip that is a replication of this famous Alex Ross image. The Jester's outfit itself originated in Batman the Animated Series, where the character of Harley Quinn first appears, as did the mallet she holds up, but of course she ends up going with the baseball bat, a weapon she uses in the Arkham game series. Her tattoos are apparently all of the stick and poke, self-inflicted prison variety, and include one that says Puddin' on her leg. That's also on a necklace she's wearing. And we also get Harlequin patterns. It's also hinted at in her file that she's the one that murdered Robin, not the Joker, as is the time-honored tradition.
What hurts more? A or B? Forehand or backhand?
We also see the chemical bath that leads to her birth, mirroring the Joker's, which is her origin story sometimes, specifically in the New 52. And she also dreams of settling down and having a couple of kids with the Joker, something seen in the comic and animated episode of the same name, Mad Love. That story also expands on her origin, like in the movie where we see the Joker twisting her mind.
Yes, I admit it. As unprofessional as it sounds, I had fallen in love with my patient. Pretty crazy, huh?
Not at all. As a dedicated, career-oriented young woman, you felt the need to abstain from all amusement and fun. It's only natural you'd be attracted to a man who could make you laugh again.
I knew you'd understand.
Anytime.
Harley Quinn was also a former competitive gymnast, something we get a nod to in her prison cell. Before we get into the Joker, let's talk the other squad members. Slipknot's role in this movie, to prove that the bombs in the neck were definitely real, mirrors a comic book interaction between himself and Captain Boomerang.
Mind games.
What's that?
Oh, this bomb in the neck crap. That ain't real, mate. See, they're trying to trap us with our own minds, right? But you look around.
His head exploding is also a Suicide Squad staple, like what happened to KG Beast in the animated movie Assault on Arkham. They couldn't, of course, use KG Beast in this movie because Batman killed him in the last one.
I believe you.
El Diablo's story is pretty much taken straight from the source material. He's possessed by a demon and is able to harness the power of fire. He also has the same reluctance to kill anybody. In the New 52 version of the character, it's because he accidentally murdered women and children when hitting up a gang for money, as opposed to that being his own family, like in the movie version. Katana also appears, mostly as is. Now her backstory is hinted at, but basically, her husband, who she's had a couple of kids with, has his soul trapped in her sword because his brother, who was also in love with her, murdered him, and then she in turn murdered the brother. She's also seen communing with her husband's soul, which is an ability taken straight out of the comics.
She seems nice.
Deadshot appears to be a slightly more toned down version of the character, with more of a reluctance to kill. The costume is loosely based off the outfit originally seen in Detective Comics 474, and it's also worth mentioning that he has some chemistry with Harley Quinn. They've had a sort of relationship in the past, though you know it's a bit weird and volatile. He's also stopped by his daughter when attempting to kill Batman. In the comics, he almost has this psychological block when it comes to murdering him and can never seem to bring himself to finish the job. Enchantress is altered quite a bit from the comics, but some versions of her powers do extend from being possessed by a witch called the Succubus, who was related to Incubus, the other main supernatural villain of the movie. Captain Boomerang is pretty much just Captain Boomerang, but with a grimier outfit. His Australian origin is also hinted at when we see him arrive in an Australia Post satchel, which is weird. Didn't they say that he moved to America because he robbed every bank in Australia? Which, by the way, would have to be thousands. That's pretty impressive for a guy who just throws boomerangs and is drunk most of the time. Speaking of, though, the reason he's captured by the Flash is because Captain Boomerang is part of his rogues gallery. I know it doesn't seem like they're very evenly matched, because to be fair, they are not. But his enemies, other than the ones that just run real fast, are super weird. You get a hyper-intelligent gorilla who rules a city filled with gorillas, a guy with a freeze gun, and a bloke dressed as a turtle, who prides himself on being the slowest man on Earth. But it sounds like he should pride himself on man who was definitely dropped on his head as a baby. That scene with the Flash, though, which was always intended to be in the film, was actually directed by Zack Snyder and just happened to line up with him shooting the Justice League in London. And he had all the pieces and the like to make that happen. Let's get into the Joker, though. A role Jared Leto dedicated 6 months of his life to for what ended up being not a lot of him, is there? We see Ace Chemicals, and although we aren't explicitly told, this scene with Harley Quinn pretty much confirms that at one point, he also took a chemical bath, which was the final straw in breaking his mind. We also see baby clothes laid out in his room, which could hint towards a number of things. His pregnant wife, who died in The Killing Joke, his desire to have a baby with Harley, who actually does have a secret child in the Injustice universe, or as mentioned by Leto himself, this could all indicate something much darker.
If you look closely, you'll find quite a few little toys and trinkets and items there. And, I think the Joker probably collects some things in a way a serial killer may keep a locket of your hair or a couple of your fingernails.
The assorted costumes he wears are also a throwback to some iconic comic book looks, and the tattoos are something that we have seen before in All-Star Batman and Robin. David Ayer has commented on how there are very specific Easter eggs in those tattoos as his body kind of tells a story. Now, I'm not going to speculate here what all these could possibly mean. That's a long and dark guessing game, but even his grill indicates that at some point, Batman probably knocked all his teeth out. There's also a few minor characters that he associates with. Johnny Frost, a henchman from Brian Azzarello's Joker graphic novel, and Common's Monster T, who happens to share some visual similarities to the Tattooed Man. And by some similarities, I mean, just the tattoos. Other characters include comic boardroom villain Derek Tolliver, Angelo, who we hear Deadshot talking to on the phone.
I'm still seeing zeros over here, Angie.
Now, he's a member of the Falcone crime family, and is played by Robert Atkin Downs, who's voiced a number of DC animated characters. And interestingly, Ted Whittall once played Rick Flag in the TV series Smallville. Before we touch on Batman and the mid-credits scene, it would be remiss not to mention this line.
What if Superman had decided to fly down, rip off the roof of the White House, grab the president right out of the Oval Office?
It might be a coincidence, but this could very well be a nod to Superman 2, where Zod and the Kryptonians infiltrate the White House and take over. Man, look at this. Movie magic it's barely changed. Does anyone else hear that? I don't know if you can hear it. There's a plane flying over. Audio note. Edit this bit out of the video. I hear a plane, and I don't like it. Stop flying over. We also get a couple of Suicide Squad logos in the movie on the bottom of Harley Quinn's mallet, and when Deadshot is demonstrating his marksmanship abilities. We also see the John Ostrander Federal Building, John Ostrander being the guy who kicked off the idea in 1987 of what we know the Suicide Squad to currently be. Argus is also referenced. Not heavily, but they're the organisation led by Amanda Waller, and they act as kind of DC's version of S.H.I.E.L.D. Argus has stood for a number of things over the years, including armed revolutionaries governing under secrecy. Batman shows up a handful of times, and this is probably the most comic book accurate version of the character that we've ever seen. He seems to actively go out of his way not to kill anybody this time, and he doesn't fire a gun. The mid-credits scene shows a volatile relationship between himself and Amanda Waller, with them at odds with each other in the comics as they share very differing ideologies. Bruce Wayne is also actively gathering information on metahumans to form the Justice League, which is weird because I thought he had most of that information from that email attachment origin story we got in Batman v Superman. Also, having seen the first footage from Justice League, the whole thing felt a little redundant. Regardless, good luck, Batman. You bloody get out there. You get that Justice League. You get them together. Unite the seven. Is that still a thing? Are they still using that tagline? What did that even mean? Was it 7 oceans? Was it artifacts? But hey, let's do the loot crate thing. So here's last Sunday's winner. just private message me on my channel with this information and I'll get it sent out to you as soon as possible. If you want to win next week's box, just leave any comment you want below. It could be an Easter egg or reference not mentioned here, or even a favorite of yours from the movie. Or like I said, literally anything. I don't care. There's also a couple of other videos linked that you might be interested in, including one that tallies up all the animated and live action deaths that the Joker has caused. And hey, if you're a subscriber, you can turn on notifications and know whenever I release a new video. Or don't. Two options. Also, this Monday on my podcast, The Weekly Planet, we're getting stuck right into Suicide Squad. The good, the bad, what works, what doesn't. That can be found linked below on a number of audio and visual platforms. Alright, thanks for watching everyone. Take care.